What is going on? James Bonnie's here, and in this video that I'm about to play, I did a private training on the exact sales script and process and how to sell. It could be a high ticket product. It could be actually anything, anything online. It could be anything offline. It's the exact script and process that all of our sales guys are taught, trained, and they all practice this flow of a sales call, right? And this has literally directly resulted in over, I think now about $27 million in sales for my company. So for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is James Bonnies, and over the last 5 years, I've done about $27 million online. And it is all directly correlated to the words that are spoken to the prospects that are on the phone. So if you want to know exactly what we do and how we do it, just continue to watch this video. And it's a private training that I did in a private Facebook group for people who have elite access to this kind of information. Of course, you could always find sales scripts all over online and on YouTube, but this one, what I love about this one, it is so simple, so simple. And sales is actually just a transfer of emotion. And actually, you could probably see on my board right there, people buy on emotion, logic, and then they have to be given a sense of fear of why they need to move forward. So take a watch. It's not that long, and it's actually pretty easy. See you guys there. Bye. So a lot of people hate sales. They think they're not good salespeople. They think that they don't start a business because of thinking that they can never sell. And it's sad. I always just, because I was one of them, right? So I was always the guy who just said, all I want to do, and I remember this in college, college roommate, I remember asking him, like, what do you want to do when you graduate? And I was like, as long as I'm sitting behind a computer and don't have to speak to anybody, I'll be happy. And the reality is that there's no such thing, right? I guess if you're a coder, maybe. But, money, this is where money is made. Money is made on human to human interaction. Like that's where the real money is made. And as I got older and, yes, I was a teacher, and it's, I guess, for somebody like me, was a very uncomfortable position. And my heart would beat before every single class for the first 3 years. I hated it. I hated every moment of it. I hated every preparation of it. But what it did was get me out of the, this thought process of I'm just going to sit behind a computer all day. And, when I graduated, I was, by the time I got my teaching degree, because I didn't go to school for teaching, I went for economics, right? And if I would have followed the path of what most of my friends followed, they went to Wall Street, they worked for, Morgan Stanley and all that stuff. And I didn't. You want to know why I didn't? It's because I didn't want to interview. I swear to God in my life, I did not want to interview. Like I didn't want to go and get in a suit and tie. Not because I was lazy. It was because I was freaking fearful, like massively fearful. And so I was the quiet introvert. Still am, by the way. But I've learned to be able to like turn it on when I need to turn it on. But most of the time, even when I go out with friends and family, I'm usually the guy that's just kind of like hanging out and just listening to other people's conversations. Every once in a while I'll get involved, but most of the time I just like to listen to people. And so to say that you have to be like an extrovert to be good at sales is completely and totally false. So that's the first belief factor that we need to break, is understanding that no matter what your personality is, you can make a boatload of money in sales and you can be very, very good at it. Okay. Because the misconception is, well, let me go through it first. So there's the biggest misconception of sales, right? In how it's sales truly is just a transfer of emotion from one person to the other, and how to control conversation and then systemize the sales process. Okay. And so let me just jump to this slide real quick so I can get into that. And so the misconception is that sales is bad, right? I've always thought it. And it wasn't until 2016, maybe, or I would say 2014, because I started my agency side hustle in 2014, that I force myself into positions to actually have a conversation to sell something, right? Leads in advanced method was the first quote unquote pitch I've ever did to anybody, and heart out of my chest. And in order to like literally force myself to be comfortable in situations, I had a friend of mine that did, let's just call it medical sales because it's easier to explain instead of going into details, that literally said, hey, here's a list of thousands of drug rehab places. Just get a meeting and I will give you 50% of any of the money that, if they use my lab, if I sell them anything, you'll get 50%. And I didn't do it for the money. I did it to force myself. I figured if I can get comfortable cold calling, then I can probably get comfortable if I actually have something like really good and valuable to sell. And so every day I was in during lunch, because at that time, I think I was still a teacher. And I would make, it was every day I said, I'm going to make 30 phone calls during lunch, 30, because most of the time it was hangups. And if I did set an appointment, it didn't take long, right? So 30 phone calls, cold calling. And the first day was horrible. And then I started to notice that, after like the 100th to 200th call, it was maybe 4 or 5 days later, my heart wasn't beating as fast. I didn't get cotton mouth. And I started to actually know what the hell to say, like without having to think. And so like anything in life, repetition is always going to be your best teacher, but still having a framework to work with is actually what makes it more comfortable in the beginning. And then you just literally use the framework that I'm going to go through today on every single sales call or anything that you're pitching. Because truth of the matter is a framework in this script, as we've sold, Jason and I, our company have sold, $27-28 million of product. But this script I didn't make it up, right? So it's probably hundreds of millions of dollars just in the online space that this script is could be tied back to. And so understanding sales, that it's not bad, and people want to be sold. They want to be sold. Always remember that. Okay. And when it's done right, all it is a conversation. All right. It's how you get to the solution to their problem in their hands. So when I say, why do they want to be sold? It's because they have a problem, or you wouldn't be talking to them. And when they have a problem, you have the solution. And now it's just transferring the belief to them and literally pinning them in the corner until they realize that my solution is their only answer. Okay. And pinning them in a corner is not a bad thing. It's calling them on their bullshit excuses. Because, and by the way, you have to believe in your product, right? You can't, I think sales is bad because people a lot of times are selling shit. Okay. But when you believe in the product, then selling is very, very, very simple. Sales is a transfer of emotion. So your emotion and energy is transferred to the prospect. Also, tonality is probably the number one. Let me throw that in here. Tonality is if you can teach somebody tonality on a sales call and how to use it properly, they immediately go from being somebody who's brand new to a total veteran. Right. So tonality, like this would be tonality. If I was saying something extremely important, I would talk a lot lower, and I would talk a lot lower. So you lean in to hear me. Right. So the tonality of a phone call is extremely, extremely important. All right. And as I said, you need to absolutely believe your offer is the ultimate solution to their problems. Okay. Because it will come out in the tonality of your voice. Okay. And you'll control the conversation through a systemized process, frame you as the authority, logically walks them through from problem discovery to solution. And the person asking the questions is always the one that's in control. So sales is literally comes down to asking questions. That's it. The best way to think about it is all you are doing is guiding them to saying yes. That's it. Through a course of series of steps and processes and frameworks. Okay. So the simplest way to look at this, if we're going to talk about sales script, where they are, where they want to go, and why haven't they gotten there yet? Let's think about this the simplest possible way. And before I get into the slides, like think about it like this. Hey, so what I'm in what Facebook group right now? Elite Mastermind. Okay. So let's think about it like this. Let's think about I'm selling this, like the coaching program, right? And you are teaching people how to properly hire, right? Because I know David might be on here. And so you have a process that you want to sell. That and I want to keep the what you do as simple as possible, so that I can actually come up. You know, if I don't understand the whole product myself, so let's just say it's a software that helps them, software and coaching that helps them hire, basically get the right people to hire, right? And I'm going to talk to an executive, and so the conversation in the flow manner would be like, so John, what was the main reason you scheduled a call from me today? All right. What's the main reason? And so you're going to get an answer of why they scheduled a call. Like you are literally about to identify what problem they have. And so they will tell you, well, listen, I've been through, like 4 managers and I constantly have to fire them. And they are just constantly, they just don't do the work. I can't get the work out of them. And then I'm end up doing 3 people's jobs, and it's killing me. It's killing my life. My wife hates me. I just don't make I can't even justify the amount of hours I'm working with the pay that I'm getting, right? I should only be working 34 hours a week. I'm working 80. Okay. And so you're clarifying why they chose to book a call with you or talk to you, or are they interested in your product, clarifying it. And now you're identifying their core problem. And my biggest thing would be to write those things down. Why did they book? Write it down. Clarify the problem. What's their main problem? Okay. And now you're going to say, sorry, I guess under my eye. You as the selling, right? If you're selling, all you're doing is now clarifying it, right? You're just clarifying it, reverting back to what they said, or giving it back like a boomerang. All right. So John, so let me get this straight. You booked a call with me today because you're looking for a solution to probably a big problem, right? And I understand, because I've been in your shoes before. You're working 80 hours a week. This is not what you signed up for, and your core problem is that you just can't find the right employees for your company. Is that right? And when you ask a question to people, you shut up, right? That's the biggest thing too. The biggest thing with my sales guys, and I've had 19 of them at one time on the phone. If I could tell you, when we would listen to calls, my face would be red, because sales guys need to learn to shut their effing mouths. See, I'm going to get passionate because I've been dealing with this for 5 years. If you want to sell anything in life, shut up, ask questions, and shut up. People love to talk, and the more they complain, the more ammunition you're going to have when you get to the end of the phone call, when you're talking to them. It's because they're going to complain and complain and complain. And I'll show you at the end how you use all that ammunition to literally pin them where there is no way they can get on a call without get off the call without saying yes, right? Or they're just a bullshitter and they're lying to you. Okay. Hold on, because I have notes up on my board too, so I need to see this now. Okay. So again, we are clarifying why they decided to jump on a call. You're pinpointing the problem, right? Labeling it. And you now are overviewing the pain. And when I say overviewing the pain, what you're doing is you're digging deeper. Well, John, okay, so if you're working 80 hours a week, how's that affecting your home life? Do you get to see your kids on the weekend? How does that affect them? What other, you know, by working this much and doing all this work, what other parts of your life are affected? Right. And so all you're doing is, and it's such easy questions to think about, because it's like, that's, it's just like naturally what I would ask. Wow, you're working 80 weeks. What's your wife think about that? What's your kids think about, or husband? What's your kids think about that? Do you guys ever be able to go on vacation? I mean, are you even making enough money to go on vacation? Like, you could literally dig into the amount of pain that somebody has from one problem. Like you could spend an hour on it, right? But all we're doing is going over that pain and what that problem has caused past, in his past life, or current and past life, you know, in his life, right? What's the pain causing in his life? And then we'll get into the why haven't they got here yet. Okay. So where they are, right? What brought them to the call? What are they struggling with? And what pain are they feeling? Okay. Where do they want to go? So now we're going to get into, all right, John, after you get into this is the problem, well, this is why you got on the phone call, this is the problem you have, this is how it's affecting your life, right? You need to now, where do they want to go? So John, tell me a little bit about, if I was able to provide you a solution, which I actually believe I can, to this big problem that you're having in your life, what would that solve for you? Like, how will your life change? Right. And what you're doing is you're selling them essentially, they are self-selling themselves the vacation, right? So what are your goals? What are your dreams? And how are you going to feel when you get there? Right. And a lot of times I'll just ask that question, like, so if I'm able to help you today, like, what would your life look like and what would that solve? Like, give me a little bit. Well, if I could just freaking hire 2 good managers for these 2 departments, it would take off hours a day of the workload. I wouldn't have to work at home. I could finally get up out of my chair at 5 o'clock and be home for dinner, hang out with the kids and wife, maybe freaking watch a movie, and go out to dinner once a week and spend the time all weekend with my family. Wow. That is like, now you're there in the mind of thinking like, maybe this guy can, and this is what my life would look like. You're selling them what the life would look like if you solve their problem. You're selling their life, right? Essentially, that's all you're doing anyway, in the grand scheme of things, solving the problem so their life could get better. And then after they kind of divulge, like, essentially that vacation life, essentially you're going to say, so tell me a little bit about how, like, let's assume that you can hire 2 great employees. Let's assume that you are, you know, we can get you from 80 hours a week of work to 40 hours a week of work, because we're going to be able to find you 2 great managers, because the way I do it is a little different, and I'll get into that at the end. But let's assume that's all true, and that will happen. Can you do me a favor? I know this is a silly exercise, but can you just close your eyes, and just give me a sense of what that would feel like? Like, honestly, like, you're working 40 hours a week. Take a deep breath and tell me, like, what would your life actually feel like? I understand what you would do, but what would it actually feel like? Right. And you're digging. And I know a lot of times it seems funny. I get a lot of sales guys that just never do this, and it drives me crazy. But it works, right? They need to envision and get that sense of feeling, of what their life would be like. And a lot of times you'll get, like, in my line of work, right? You kind of get at people like, man, it would just feel amazing. Like, you know, people, no, I'm going on the teacher side. You know, my wife, like, she would, like, probably hug me a lot more, right? I get, like, I'm not making this stuff up. These are things people tell me. My wife would probably, you know, they say my wife would probably have sex with me a lot more. Like, I get that. Like, that's how deep I get. And it's only in 20 minutes, right? This is in the first 20 minutes. Because rapport is big, right? And so they, you know, they really get in. My kids, they're constantly angry with me, but I you know, it's just because I don't spend enough time with them. So I love to take my son on a Saturday morning to freaking baseball instead of my wife constantly, right? And so they really, really, really go deep. And a lot of times you'll get a big sigh, like, oh man, that would be like amazing if I could do that. That's the feeling, right? The emotion comes in. And then now you're going to set yourself up to sell. All right. And so what you're doing is where you're hitting the why haven't they hit their goals? Essentially, you're saying like, look, John, you have done things in the past. You've tried to hire. I can feel your pain in the sense of how this is affecting your life and your family. So why haven't you been able to hire the right people? And so now what I'm doing is I'm making them self-admit that they can't do this on their own. One of the most powerful part of this of the sales technique or script is they need to admit finally that they can't solve the problem by themselves. Okay, they have to admit it, because until they admit that, they're going to just get off the phone with you and try to solve it again. So our goal is by asking them questions, by the way. What is stopping you from hitting your goals? What is stopping you from hiring the right managers? I mean, you've tried twice already. What do you think the reason is? I just don't know where to look. I don't know what characteristics to look for. I don't know. Should I get somebody new? Should I get somebody old? Should I get somebody with experience? You see where I'm going with this? And so now all of a sudden they have a problem with identifying who their best employee would be, right? And I'm sure your program would probably contain that, right? What was the plan for them to hit their goals, right? So you've tried this in the past. What's your plan now? What do you plan on doing now differently than what you did before? And you know what everybody always says? I don't know. That's kind of why I'm on the phone. I want you to think of how powerful this is. I don't know. I don't have a plan. And that's why I'm freaking here. If that person is not already sold, the only way to lose that sale is you're going to blow it and I'll explain why people blow it. And I wrote, this is why they need to work with you, right? So they're admitting they can't do it alone. They're admitting they've tried in the past, and they're self-admitting. And essentially you are subconsciously basically telling them or having them tell themselves, all right, well, I'm on the phone because I can't do it myself and you have the solution. So I'm going to have to buy, right? And so that's there. Just quick points to remember. Your belief in your offer is what sells it. It should crush you if someone doesn't buy. And as long as it is the right solution, as long as it's the right solution for them. Biggest point to remember is talk less, sell more. I really shouldn't say that. It should say talk less, listen more. People blow more sales by talking too much. See it every day. Let your prospect talk themselves into the sale, as I explained. And when in doubt, like when you are like floundering, like, oh my God, just ask a question and shut up and let that person talk, right? I hear a lot of sales guys, they get lost because they're the ones talking and they forget why they're even talking about what they're talking. And now they don't even know where to go. They are completely lost on that. Okay. And ultimately you're a problem solver, right? And you have the solution. So you have the solution to fix a problem and just don't overcomplicate it. Now, objections, right? You're going to always get objections, and objections are good because that means that they are asking questions. They are fact finding themselves because they are interested in moving forward. All right. So the best way to handle objections is to avoid them to begin with. All right. Selling is a transference of emotion, confidence, certainty, and belief. You should expect objections if you sound insecure and unconfident in yourself. That's a little harsh. I was writing this for my sales guys and they were pissing me off. So I'm going to change this to Two main beliefs your prospect must feel to do business with you. They must believe they need you to get results or achieve them faster. And they must believe the outcome is possible. They won't buy if they don't think they can attain their goals. And our selling process is designed to help address those two beliefs. All right. So I'm not going to go through all of the objections unless whoever's on here wants to ask a specific one. Let me go through a few, and then I'm going to pull up a blank slide and go through a very simple way. And by the way, I didn't take this. Let me just get to it. It's important to know that objections aren't bad. Remember, they have a problem needing to be solved. If they had the answers, they would have already did it. Okay. And they already told you that they can't. Also, don't panic or vomit words when you get an objection. Always get more clarity about the objection. So what makes you say that? Or can you explain a little bit more about what you mean? And you'll get what I'm saying in a second. You want to get them to open up a little more about the objection, because sometimes the objection is just a cover for what's really on their mind. And isolate it. Isolate the objection. Don't try to address multiple objections at once. Okay. So here's two. I need to think about it. That price seems a little high. Instead of saying like, what do you need to think about? And how could you think it's so high? Sure. So what specifically do you need to think about? Right. I didn't even touch this objection yet. I'm first handling this one. Okay. Also, getting like the top 10 objections that people give in your industry and having solution and having answers to those beforehand is always good. And of course, you're going to hear ones that you've, like never heard before, and you're going to be thrown off, and you're probably going to want to end the call as soon as humanly possible because you had no answer. Now you're like, these people are never going to buy because I couldn't answer that one question. So you want to keep a list of the most common ones and finding the best ways to answer those. Most common objections are centered around financial, value, timing, decision maker. I need to think about it, and they're skeptical. Okay. Financial objections see the value in what you have to offer. Meaning, if it's just money, that means there's a disconnect between the money and the value. Okay. Overcome by understanding their situation to explore options. And so if money is an issue, you can have payment options, credit cards, line of credit. So you can break up the payments, take bi-weekly or bi-monthly, or downsell them to a cheaper part of your program that you can upsell them at some point. And here's a good example of like question with a question, or like comment question. So as the sales guy, you're going to just ask the question back. That's way more than I was expecting to spend. Well, what were you expecting to spend, right? All we're doing is uncovering information, uncovering data. I don't think we can afford that much. Can you help me better understand your financial situation so I can see how I can help, right? Because I have things in my back pocket. So for every objection they have, I'm going to give them an option, okay? Or I'm going to call them out on their bullshit that they aren't actually having this problem and that they thought, right? They believed that somebody was just going to hand them over the keys to the castle. Value objections is that they don't see the value in what you're offering. Sometimes disguised as can't afford objection. You can handle through the financial that I just went through. And then if you uncover that they have money, can you help me understand what's really holding you back right now? Right. So a lot of times, like if they like, look, I really didn't think this it was going to cost this much. Well, how much did you think it was going to cost? And if they say, well, I thought it was, if it's a $4,000 product, I thought it was going to be, $2,000. Well, can you give me if you think it's worth $2,000, why don't you think it's worth $4,000? Right. Essentially, you just want to uncover like, where's the value gap here? Right. Where's the value gap? And so I'll give you just one that I just recently dealt with. They came to the call and they were like, hey, we went through the whole thing and they're like, look, I was planning to spend like $1,500. I didn't realize it was $5,000. I have some savings, I have some money, but I just really wasn't prepared to spend $1,500. And I said, is the money really the only thing that's holding you back? Is the amount of money that this costs? And they said, yeah, it sounds great, but I really said I just $1,500 was my budget. That's what I was going to do. I said, well, let me ask you a question. If I sent you over a contract right now, and the contract stated, and this was a guarantee, that that the facts are in my coaching program, the average client value is $1,000, right? $1,000, one client a month. Okay, not including ad spend. And if we already went through today, you believe that my program can show you how to land one client? Yeah, I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't even think about it. Great. So if the contract stated that one client is worth $1,000, would you invest $5,000 to make $12,000 in your first year? Well, I guess if you put it that way. So what I'm asking you to do is invest your $5,000. We'll show you how to earn on one client, and that's if you're terrible. On one client, you can make $12,000 a year, and you just said that you would invest $5,000. Does it make sense now? Why the value is actually there? Now imagine you had 5 clients. That's $60,000 a year. Do you know how easy it is to find 5 clients? The problem is most people don't put in the work. Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to follow directions? Are you willing to show up every Wednesday night? Yes, this is, you told me that, where you are to where you want to go, and you can't do it by yourself. So what other choice do you have? So you see how, like, you just kind of, if you fact find and you find out they have money, now all I'm going to overcome is the value objection. Well, what's the opportunity of Joe? Well, you said you wanted to spend $1,500, right? And I can teach you how to earn $1,000. Forget about the return on investment. What's the opportunity cost over a lifetime of you not taking this opportunity today on the phone call? The opportunity cost is one client $1,000 a month. What's the opportunity cost at $5,000 or $5,000 a month for your agency? $60,000 a year. Well, over 30 years, it's a lot of money. So you aren't willing to risk the 5,000, right? But you're willing to risk the millions of future profits that you could be making. You see how that seems a little crazy? Not, again, and so you're just uncovering the truth about their own fear, their own, inability to make freaking decisions. People can't make decisions. It's your job to get them to the point where they can't say no. That is your job. When Jason and I took calls last July, him and I took about 50 calls for the local marketing vault. Our closing rate was like 40% each. And it was 40%, and that included no-shows, which was probably, I don't know what the no-shows were. It's not that I'm a sales guy. I hate it. Like, I really don't like it. I don't enjoy it. Like, I just don't. Like, right, even now talking, 50 minutes into this, my head is starting to hurt. Well, it's probably because I'm unhealthy and eat like garbage, but sometimes I like it. But it's sales just not a thing for me. All right. But it's gotten so easy for me to just understand how to change the way based on this script. And it's just a game, right? It turns into a game of like, what can you throw at me? Because I got an answer for everything. All right. I got a way to turn it. So I'm constantly putting the mirror back on you by asking you questions and making you realize, the stuff you're saying to me makes 0 sense logically, right? Because that's what happens. People are now, the fish is in the water, out of water, and they're just floundering of like, all right, I can't, humans can't make decisions. It's my job to get them to make one. That's it. Right. And you overcome that by highlighting value like I just did. Yeah, we can go through a few of these. Let's see. A lot of times people will say, this all sounds great and stuff, but you know what? I think I could do this on my own. Right. I think I got it. I understand. I get it. I could probably do this. I know how to do a little bit of this business, blah, 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 blah. And I have a thing like a written script that says, well, earlier, John, you actually said the opposite. Look, you really can't do this on your own. The value is here, right? Your goal, I'm reading this as it's a script. Oh, yeah. This is like fill in the blanks. Let me answer this without reading it. So I would say, like, look, John, earlier, I asked you, why haven't you gotten to where you want to go? And you said, I've tried this and this, it just didn't work out. So can we come to a conclusion that you can't do it on your own because you've already tried? Well, I guess you're right. So great. So if you can't do it on your own, and I'm on the phone telling you and showing you and going through stories of testimonials of people that are just like you, making the first money online all the way up to making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, what is really now holding you back? Because you can't do it on your own. You got on the phone call because you can't. Let's admit that. You're admitting it, right? Right. So you're just kind of, again, turning the mirror back on them. That's what the sales call is. All it is fact finding to use as ammunition later on when they're trying to say no. That's all it is. So and then I'll throw in here, like, look, John, you said you wanted to get to like $10,000 a month, right? Right. Well, you remind me just of this guy, Caleb, who came in. He was 28 years old. He was living at home with his parents at 28 because he got fired from his job. He had, a little bit of money, a little bit of savings. His goal was $10,000 a month. And 3 months later, he's at like 8,500. What would your life be like if you're at 8,500 in 3 months? Right. And so you're still painting pictures. You're still fact finding. You're still asking questions. And the only answers you ever give are short and to the point. All right. So I have a note here that says anything they say that relates to not being worth it is countered by bringing them back to why they can't do it themselves and why they are currently where they are. Right. You just want to keep digging into the pain. Like, you can't do it on your own. You've admitted you can't do it on your own. What other choices do you have? Right. Where you are now is based on all the choices you've made in the past. If you want to stay where you are, like, you just keep digging. All right. Basically, if they could have figured it out, they wouldn't be on the phone. They would have figured it out. Timing objections can be related to real events or unanswered questions. And you can differentiate between the two pretty easy. Real timing issues are usually pretty specific. Fake timing issues usually sounds like BS. So like a really good one, timing is like, all right, James, I love what you guys are doing. I'm like, I was hesitant to book a call because I knew I was going to have to make a decision on the phone, but I really didn't want to wait to get on a call, but I get paid on Friday and it's Tuesday, and I don't want to, I want to pay with my debit card. And I will come at them and say, well, do you have a credit card? Yeah, but I don't like to use it. I want, because of that, and I don't want interest. I was like, well, why don't you just throw it on a credit card, get the points, and when you get paid Friday, pay it off, and you get 5,000 points for your American Express or your Visa One Capital. And a lot of times people are like, it's actually a good point. Like 5,000 points, if you have a cashback card, you can get yourself $100 back. No, $100. Get your $100 back, and just by saying yes, now you got a free dinner and putting on your credit card, right? And so like I will always push that, but some people are just like, look, dude, I don't got a credit card. I use debit cards. I don't use credit cards. All right, then I'll tell you what, you got $50 on you now. Yeah, I'll put a deposit down today. That's going to show me that you're extremely serious. And then we'll set up a time Friday. Is 12 o'clock good? Good for you? Is it direct deposit? Yeah, direct deposit. You have lunch at 12? You have lunch at 12. Great. Let's schedule for 12. I'll run your card and refund the deposit. But I need, in order to hold this pricing for you, I need some sort of good faith that I'm not going to waste my time chasing you around, right? That's what that $50 is saying. It's saying, James, I'm serious. I want to move forward. Here's the $50. I don't have the money now, but Friday I will, and we'll move forward Friday. How does that sound? So, does that sound good? Great. Visa or MasterCard. Okay. Fake timing kind of sounds like, well, it sounds great. I'm definitely going to move forward, but I got like $500 now, and I want to pay in full, right? I want to pay in full, and probably need about 2 months. 2 months, yeah. Let's do 2 months. 2 months sounds good. Like, yeah, they never come back, but then I'm gonna go. I'll tell you what. How serious are you, Joe? I'm very serious. You said you have $500. I'll tell you what. I'll take the 500 today, and I'll give you access to the program. Okay. I'll send you an agreement. The agreement's going to say 500 today, and in 60 days, we'll either we'll get back on the phone, or we'll start billing your card for $4.99 a month until it's paid off. And in 60 days, we could jump on a call and you could just pay the balance in full. How does that sound? Well, that's the only 500 I have. How much are you willing to put down to hold this pricing and get access? You know what? I'm just not ready yet. Like, that's what you're going to get out of them. Like, if you have an answer to everything they have, like, you know, a lot of people disagree with this. When it comes to payment plans and deposits and stuff, I'm a full believer. I'm a very full believer in knowing that I'm paying for their phone call through advertising. And I tell our sales guys all the time, just get a freaking payment. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we are selling, you know, yeah, we're selling solutions and changing people's lives, but in the grand scheme of things, like, we're running a business and cash flow is important. And I just paid $200 for that call, and you better collect money on that call, because we are going to find the people who are bullshitters and will never buy, no matter how much we follow up with them, and the ones that are actually serious and timing just sucks, right? And I'm going to find that out by fact finding how much money they have to spend today. And I'm going to get them in the program. And guess what I'm going to do when they come in the program? I'm going to make sure that they show up to their Wednesday night Q&As. I'm going to make sure that they're taking action. I'm going to send them emails, because the faster they start making money, the faster that they're going to pay me the money they owe me. Okay. So I'm going to take their money, and then I'm going to help them get results, so then they can take that money and pay me back. I think I want to get started in a couple of weeks because of whatever. Right? I just kind of went through that, but I have on here. All right. So let me make sure I understand. You're 100% in, right? You just don't want to start for a week because of whatever the reason is, right? And they say yes. Okay, so if that's the case, I can onboard you right now with a refundable deposit as credit against your investment, so you can take advantage of today's action pricing. Then you can get started next week after that happens, right? So I'm not leaving the phone call until I exhaust every single option I have to finally get to the answer, is that they are not interested, right? I don't want to hear the bullcrap excuses of, yes, I'm interested, but I'm going to call people out on their bullcrap. Like, yo, I just spent 45 minutes on the phone with you. I've given you every single option to get started today, and you're still saying no. So either you don't trust me, or you don't trust that what I teach and what I do with my students is going to help you, or you don't trust yourself to actually do the work. Which one is it? And let them answer. Well, it's you I don't trust. Perfect. Now let's uncover that. Why don't you trust me? Why don't you trust what I do? I've had over 6,000 students in the last 5 years. Thousands of people have earned their money online. What makes them different than you? Yeah, I know that. All right, fine. Well, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm lazy. Like, literally, I've had people say, I'm just freaking lazy. I'm not going to do the work. I know I'm not. Fantastic. I'll tell you what, I'll keep your number. And if you ever become unlazy, just send me a message and we'll jump back on a call. Like, if they say that, hanging up the damn phone up, right? Blacklisting them and never letting them schedule a call with me again. The good old decision maker. This could be avoided at the application process. Is like, make sure everybody who can make a decision is going to be on the phone call, right? All right. So I need to talk to my wife. Great. Is she there now? Talk to my wife. No, she's not. She's working. Okay. So here's something that we've been using. Learned this from another big internet marketer. Implemented this about a year ago. And what he taught us, or taught in general, students of his, was that a lot of times when the decision made, a lot of times you have to think of men, right? Men. A lot of times it's just, I have to talk to my wife. Essentially, it's an excuse to get off the phone. So you want to hold them accountable to that. Well, John, do let's say the problem is hiring, right? John, does your wife know that you are having this problem, right? Does she know that you're working 80 hours a week? Oh, she knows. Complain to her all the time. Okay, so she's well aware that you are seeking a solution to this. Yeah, tell her all the time, like, I need to find a solution to this. So do you not believe that working with us is the solution? Oh no, I do believe. So what do you think your wife would say to you if you had the solution to a problem that you're both dealing with? What do you think she's going to say to you if you say no to me? If you say no to that solution? Do you always have to pass things, by her? And truth be told, John, you know, she hasn't seen anything that you've seen throughout, this process. She hasn't spoken to me. She hasn't watched the video. She hasn't seen the testimonials. Do you think she's going to have an honest opinion when you ask her what her opinion is? When you tell her it's $5,000 to get started, and no, I swear to God, they're great. They have all these testimonials, blah, blah. If she doesn't physically see it, you're going to get a no from her. And sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness. And I always forget what the last part is. Maybe somebody can answer that. Are you guys paying attention? Better to ask for something than ask for forgiveness or something. All right. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. I do want to add a slide here. Let me go down here. Let me go down to this kind of sums up everything I spoke about today. Hold on. I want to give credit due to where this actually came from. Essentially, this is an abbreviation to the process or the script that Alex Hormozi does. And when I saw this, I loved it because it's, we have something called the Viper sales script. It's been the sales script that we've been using for years and years and years. Like I said, it's closed multi-millions, 9 figures probably worth of deals just with this script. And this abbreviation sums it up in such an easy way where, like, I have, how many slides do I have just going through this? Like 30 slides just going through the process where he coined it closer, right? So let me see if I can. So if I end up putting this on like a YouTube channel or something, like, I want to make sure that I give Alex Hormozi credit for this because we are implementing this into our own sales team. Just because I feel like they get a lot lost. They had a 5-page script, and sometimes it just doesn't sound good. So closer. Should I just take a picture of that? Oh, here, let's do it like this. Clarify. Make this bigger. Whatever, we'll just do it like this. All right, so closer is thank you. Yes, better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. I always forget the last one, permission, for some reason. And that's like the most important one. So closer, clarify why they are on the phone. Label the problem. L for label the problem. You want to find out what the problem is. Overview. This problem that you're having, how is it affecting your life? Let them talk, and then you're overviewing it. You're saying, all right, because of this problem, it's killing the time with your family. You're working 80 hours a week, blah, blah, blah. Do I have this correct, John? Yes, that's exactly right. Good. They are they are self-admitting. Not only are they saying it, you're repeating it back to them. They're saying yes, right? We're getting them to say yes. Selling the vacation. John, great, you had this problem, blah, blah, blah. I've worked with many people just like you who've had this exact same problem. Why don't you tell me what your life would look like if you went from working 80 hours a week to 40 hours a week with 2 fantastic managers that you never have to micromanage? Right? Tell me about it. Yes, that's exactly right. Our program helps with that. We work with you one-on-one. This is what we do. We support. Our process is different than most people's process. You don't want, so this is a big point that Alex makes. And, again, we've been doing this for years, but you sell the vacation, you don't sell the trip, right? So this is very, very important because a lot of our sales guys just like literally sell the program as like the technical aspects of the program, right? Look, if you're going to Hawaii, are you going to tell them all about how they're going to have to go to the airline? And I'm using the exact same, again, give credit where credit's due, the exact same example that he gives. It's like, are you going to tell them about going through, waiting on the security line, waiting for the plane, sitting on a 7-hour flight, getting off the plane, going through customs, or are you going to sell them the vacation, the blue water, the beautiful hotel, the great food? You're going to sell them the vacation, right? Your life at 40 hours a week, that's what you could expect by going through our process, right? You don't need to tell them about, every Wednesday we do a 7:30 p.m. Q&A. On that, we answer questions for 3 freaking hours. You may only have one question and you may sit there for 3 hours just to answer one question. Like, right? I mean, there's shit in a lot of things. And so you're just selling the vacation, having them close their eyes. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just tell them, imagine what your life would look like. Does it sound amazing to you? Oh, it sounds freaking amazing. Explaining away their concerns is essentially like, don't worry. Like, they're going to have all these questions, right? Their concerns are going to be, most of the time, am I just going to be left alone? We offer hand-holding help. We don't leave any of our students alone. And again, we do that via the internet. I know people are busy. Whatever your program has, right? So you're explaining away the major concerns that people have, which is essentially, am I going to get help when I get stuck? Like, am I going to get help when I get stuck? Yes, we handhold everybody. Like for us in the local marketing vault, we changed the way we pitch. At the end, where we used to say, you're going to get 5 days a week Q&As, you're going to get blah, 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 this, that, and this. And now it's more like, look, you're going to get all the support you need. Matter of fact, on Mondays, we literally will handhold your way through this process. And that's Jason on Mondays doing his newbie Q&A. He gets people on there, right? He's basically hand-holding them. And so you have to just be careful the way you explain it. You don't want to be technical. You don't want to sound all jargony. It's just, again, selling the vacation. Don't worry about it. You're not going to be left alone. And then reinforcing their decision is after you close them is like, one of the things that we're implementing in the software is for every customer that comes into our program, I'm going to do a personalized video. So if David came in last night, this morning in his inbox, he's going to have a video that says, hey, David, thanks so much for joining the local marketing vault. This is James, just in case you didn't know. I cannot wait to hear from you in the next 30 to 60 days. I think you're going to crush it. Robert told me all about you. I think that you have everything that it takes to be one of our next success stories. Be good, and don't forget to join Mondays. 6:30 p.m. is Jason's newbie Q&A. You're going to get everything you need, and just keep your head down. Forget the road bumps, and in the next 60 to 90 days, your life could be different. Good luck, and we're here to help you along the way. Right? It took me 15 seconds to reinforce the decision of, you know what? I made a good decision, because the minute somebody spends money, the minute they spend money, they start thinking about all the reasons why they should not have. It is human nature. It happens every time. A good amount of money, right? A good amount of money. And so you always need to reinforce them. I'm going to try to get these out within the first 5 minutes after a payment runs. All right. And that will drastically change I was thinking about it and I just don't think this is right for me, because all they want to do is they're feeling the pain of making the decision and they need to give them, they need something to reinforce it. Anything. It doesn't even matter what it is. A personalized video is great. Don't send them all this garbage of like, hey, I just did a search on your thing and I found out that you're like number 18 on the internet, and this is what we're going to be doing, blah, blah, blah. No. If it's a local business client, like, what better way to shoot a video and say, hey, John, I got your contract signed. I got the first payment. Thank you so much. We'll have a great whatever next 90 days. And I can't wait to see where you're going to be. And I'm here along the way. And I hope, and I know that the decision you made an hour ago to work with me is going to be one of the best decisions you made for your business. All right. So we'll talk soon. We'll get on a call and we'll go through everything. Reinforces the decision. They're like, wow, I've never gotten one of those before. And you don't get the, hey, can I have my money back? I made a mistake type of thing. All right. It's funny. I say I hate sales, but I freaking love talking about it. It is so interesting to me. It is so interesting to me how it's such a scary thing to do, is just like, say I'm a sales guy or I work in sales or I'm selling something. But it's so freaking fascinating to be able to take somebody from a skeptic to a believer in like 30 minutes, because everybody you talk to on the phone will start out skeptical. They all will. They'll all start out skeptical. So if you look at this as kind of like a human experiment that is saying to yourself, like, when I get good at this, I'm going to be able to freaking convince anybody to work with me because I'm freaking good at this, right? Because it is all it is, again, is a transfer of emotion. And the minute you get, I have written on my board over here, people make decisions based on emotion, logic, and fear, right? You first need to sell them on the emotion. So this would fall into, well, this is fact finding. So this touches on emotion. This will too, because they'll talk about the things. This is emotion, right? This is deep into emotion. Concerns are always logical. They want to know like the ins and outs of things, because now they're sold emotionally. Now they need to subconsciously sell themselves logically, right? Right. And the last thing would be, hold on. So you sell them on the emotional side. Emotion. Concerns are usually logic. And before they make a decision, this is why what we do, and you guys, by the way, probably remember this. We give a special price. We give a $2,000 off if you make a decision today on the phone. We found that the students who had the most success with our program were ones that aren't half in, aren't half out, and can make decisions, hard decisions on the phone. When they realize that we are the solution to their problem, they're able to make a fast decision. And because of that, we want more case studies. We want more students like that. Can you make a decision on a call? And we'll take $2,000 off our $6,000 price. Let's say $6,000. That's FOMO. They're afraid to lose out on that $2,000 scholarship. And you want them to move fast. So you probably remember that on your call. If they did it right? My guess is they probably didn't. If they did it right, and then they probably did, actually. I think that's one that we have down pretty pat. The price is $6,000, but fast action takers get a scholarship of $2,000. So it's $4,000 a day on the phone, but you have to make a decision today. You ready to make a decision today? And then now you're into the objections and stuff like that. And so that's it, right? Emotion. Let's make this even better. Anyway, 3 stages of getting a yes. Emotional stage, logical stage, and a fear of missing out. So they'll go through an emotional roller coaster of, okay, I'm emotionally feeling this. Now I need to check off my logical brain. And now in order to get me over the edge, I need to have a fear of missing something. Okay. When they get through that, they say yes. All right, guys, I appreciate it. You can, I don't know if anybody has any questions, so I'll wait for that. Did this help at all? And you could like this could be like this could be a whole day training, right? But and this is why I like Alex's abbreviation so well, is because it's taken the script that we've had and used to generate, again, just ourselves, $27 million, the same exact script since 2017. And it's like taking this whole script and making it so easy to remember. Clarify why they jumped on the phone, label the problem. Now you're overviewing the past pain, selling the vacation, and there's sub contents to these, right? Selling the vacation, explain away their concerns, reinforce their decision after they say yes. And then within there of these is you have clarifying, labeling, overviewing, and selling the vacation is all emotional. Their concerns is now logical, and helping them make a decision is by offering a bonus or a scholarship pricing or stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. And again, you can rewatch this. It'll stay in the Facebook group. And thanks for watching.